Hello, 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 people. Welcome back to an episode of the USL Show. It is great to be back. Hey, this is the last show until all the men's, or at least League One, kicks off. We'll find out about the championship. Hey, we're going to be back talking Super League. We're talking about League One. We'll hopefully be talking about the championship in a playing capacity. We are here. It's finally happening. Alex, I haven't seen you in so long. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Enjoyed the championship episodes and ready to cover some League One.
Hey, yeah, we are getting to your bread and butter. We'll kind of talk about how the League One structure is going to work and how this episode will go, but we will get to that in just a minute. But we want to go ahead and thank our wonderful patrons, Sharon Anderson, Matthew Shave, Doug Brooks, Stephen Howard, John's Landlord, Don Garber, David Horn, Josh, Dylan Reed, William Lamb, Sandy Lester, Ryan Smelter, Matt Capio, Andrew Towsley, All the Hedgehog, Kunal Patel, MOS, NF Rush 30, Tim Noss, Rial Nakaras, Jeremy Churchman, Noah Telford, Michael Fuchs, John Fuller, Christopher Kuhn, Frank Anthony, and John Hunt. If you want to be like those people and support us financially, you absolutely can. It makes streaming possible. And if you don't want to do that for whatever reason, hey, go ahead, give a little like, subscribe, share with your friends. Whatever you want to do makes a big difference for us. So let's talk about League One to kind of give you an idea on how this preview is going to be structured, because we have 17 teams now. Rest in peace, Tormenta. We don't want to have a 2 hour to 2.5 hour long show. So we're dedicating roughly around 5.5 minutes to each team, a little more, a little less, give and take. So that's going to be kind of how we structure this, so it doesn't get too long for the people who want to watch the full thing. So with that, let's go ahead and talk about our predicted table. For the USL show rankings, we had Omaha first, AC Boise second. We got Spokane Velocity third, Portland Hearts of Pine in fourth, Chattanooga Red Wolves come in fifth, Fort Wayne FC joins us in sixth, Greenville Triumph in seventh, and the defending champions, One Knox, are in the final playoff spot in eighth. The first to miss out are Alex's Richmond. We got Sarasota Paradise. Then we got Charlotte Independence, New York Cosmos, the Ford Madison, Corpus Christi, FC Naples, AV Alta, and with the wooden spoon is going to be Westchester SC. What do the fans think? Well, the fans and us are very different. With Portland in first, no bias at all. We have Omaha second, Spokane also in third. One Knox, the defending champions. The fans have them in fourth. Boise come up in fifth. Chattanooga in sixth, FC Naples in seventh, AV Alta in eighth in our final playoff spot. First team missing the playoffs is going to be Charlotte, then Fort Wayne, then Greenville, then Madison, then Richmond, then Sarasota, then Cosmos, then Corpus Christi, and in last with the wooden spoon is going to be Westchester. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get into the preview. In our first place, we have Union Omaha, where I'm just going to ask the question, does Candela reinvent 2025's success, or does he just kind of stick with what worked towards the end of the season?
Oh, you know what? Omaha is the very easy pick for number one, in my opinion. You can't. I don't know. What one thing we've learned over the last few years is just you don't bet against Omaha. They're going to be good.
No.
They've got a stacked roster. In fact, like I haven't even really been paying that much attention to Omaha in the offseason because they've put together such a solid roster. I think that they are going to keep this, having Tequila and Botello up front, like that's just silly. Navarro, Kasim, like with Adrian Billhart in backup, like, yeah, this is a stacked roster.
Yeah, you're looking at Pato up top. You're looking at Tequila kind of playing a second striker, maybe a false nine to kind of complement that 10 role he took at One Knox. Prosper Kasim, but oh yeah, his backup is Adrian Billhart. That's just gross. There's a lot of just good movement in for them. I'm really interested to see how this team kind of takes a next step especially without Stefano Pino, where last year it felt like Pato Faz and Pino were really working well with each other, and that's what kind of spurred them forward. But Pino has gone off to the fourth division in Brazil again, and so it's going to be really, really interesting to see if Tequila is able to bring the same kind of partnership with Pato.
Yeah. And the other, the thing about Omaha is like you look at who they lost. Besides, they lost Joe Gallardo, and they brought in Adrian Billhart like almost immediately. Gabriel Cabral. I yeah, it's very, very difficult to bet against this roster. I think they're a very clear, easy number one moving into the season.
Do we possibly undervalue how much a loss of Max Schneider or Charlie Ostrom, maybe a Akoff or even a Bronick, who was pretty good last year, but not one of the superstars on the team, but a good young talent? Are we maybe underrating just how big of losses those are?
I don't think so. Like it's just something. There's something about Omaha is that they can lose big names like that, and then recruit with the best of them every year. And I know this is something that it's an organizational success story that they are known for taking care of their players. They pay decent wages. They provide all the benefits even though they don't have to. Like they're the gold standard of where players in this league want to go play. So no, I don't think we're underestimating the loss of them. I think that they've done a fine job filling this back in.
To kind of take John's words a little bit, and I'll reference them from time to time. He called them the surest top three lock that you can find. Uh,
Yeah.
we'll talk about some of those other top teams that we're mostly in agreement with here on the USL show, where the fans are a little bit different. But I think for me, the only way that Omaha doesn't finish first is if AC Boise is that good, like gangbusters good, or if frankly, if Omaha starts off the way they started last season, where they were kind of dead in the water, and then Casciato leaves, and everybody just kind of assumes this is how Omaha dies. This is how Omaha dies, right? And then they just turn it on because that's just what they do. The only way I see them not finishing first is AC Boise is just who we think they are, or they start off horrifically.
Yeah, and we'll get to the other teams in the top four, but in a minute. But yeah, I think that I'm not ready to say they're like the clear number one, but they're definitely top three, top four for sure.
What other kind of final thoughts do you have for Union Omaha?
So look, going into the season, I know Adrian Billhart. He has posted on social media that he is 100%. He's healthy. He feels better than he's ever felt. Better than he ever felt when he was at Richmond.
Wow.
He's a very dangerous player when he's healthy, and to have him, right there with Prosper Kasim, like, yeah, that right side of the pitch is just going to be deadly.
Uh, just because he's the star boy. I love Prosper. Prosper Kasim is like my all-time favorite player across any league ever. I just love him so much. Just a good human being, and what a wand of a left foot. I really do hope that this year turns into a little bit more solidity for him. I think that's going to be that's something I'm watching. I'm also watching Gabriel Cabral. I think when you're looking at number 8 across this league, I don't think you're going to get much better than
Yeah.
him. And getting him and Tequila, both one from One Knox, one from Tormenta, I think that is just an unbelievable retooling for Omaha.
And don't sleep on Sergio Oris on the left side either. That he's ridiculous.
Anything else?
That'll do it for Omaha.
All right, let's go next. We will be going to AC Boise, where I'm looking at the names on paper. I am looking at who their head coach is, and I'm going to ask an unfair question. Are we getting Westchester on this lineup? And what I mean by that is last year we thought that Westchester was going to be the best expansion team ever because they brought in superstars of League One. It obviously turned into a wooden spoon victory for them rather than lifting silverware. Is there any world that's happening again here, Alex?
I'm going to say no because the factor here is Nate Miller, the coach. Like that's no, I'm not trying to like slight who's the coach of Westchester last year. Was it Dave Dixon?
No, Dixon's at Greenville now.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not trying to slight. The Westchester coach came in. It was his first head coaching gig. He had been an assistant in Charlotte for years. It just didn't, I guess the chemistry and everything just didn't really work out there. Nate Miller is bringing in all of these players that have been successful for him before. He is known to be a successful coach. Like I think that's the factor here that's going to keep them from turning into Westchester with this roster.
For me, I mean, you're looking at players and you're just looking at names and it's just unbelievable. You're looking at Moshabana, you're looking at Brito, you're looking at Katsushun, you're looking at Bali, Adams,
Kroll, Dengler, Ricketts.
Ricketts. You're throwing Ricketts in as John has it as a predicted 3-back, which is what Boise did with Ricketts, who's typically a right wing back, starting over Yao, who was fantastic in its own right. But Ricketts looking to be that ball carrying center back, not too dissimilar to Arthur Rogers when NOCO would go to a 3-back system years ago. It's going to be a very similar idea. There's a lot of players here who just feel fail proof. Now, maybe the ceiling isn't second or first, right? Maybe the ceiling doesn't happen, but it feels like there is a hard floor for this team and it's above the playoff line.
Yeah. And the only hang up I have at this time, which I'm sure will be resolved over the next few days, is there seems to be a little bit of a lack of depth in the offense. These are some solid players up there, but who's stepping in if somebody gets hurt? That's just one unanswered question that, like I said, over the next few days, we'll probably hear some more announcements and that'll be resolved. I think the announcement earlier today was a defender from Vermont Green. So that doesn't help up front, but they got the defender of the year from USL League 2 to come in and back up Kroll, Dengler, and Ricketts. And that's not too shabby.
You're talking about Musa Ndai. That is who they got from Vermont Green. And I mean, he was unbelievable up there. One of the many great players to go through Vermont Green. I feel like Vermont Green and Missouri State are kind of what feeds League One. And so if you're getting the person that they are calling Mr. Vermont Green, you've done pretty well for yourself in terms of getting a quality player.
Yeah, Vermont Green is feeding multiple leagues this year.
No kidding. So I love what Nate Miller has. I think that we've seen him do what he's done before with the Loyal and with the Lansing team that was around for a while. So he knows League One as well. Granted, that was at the very beginning. What I'm a little concerned about, and this is just me not knowing the ins and outs and not being comfortable with everybody yet, I'm looking at their goalkeeping position where when the Loyal were who they were, when they were the best of when they were running at the top of tables, you were looking at Koke Vegas, who was equal part midfielder as he was goalkeeper, and he was a fantastic goalkeeper. We saw that with Garcia as well, but maybe not to the same degree. I wonder if Nate Miller is going to rely on Garcia the way he relied on Koke Vegas in the past. If he does, I wonder if they're going to rely even more on Ricketts to be that ball-carrying defender, because while Dingler and Krul have that about them, it'd definitely be Ricketts be the one that you want the ball at their feet of those three. That's just something I'm kind of keeping an eye
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, and it's not too shabby to bring in Joseph Andima from Clemson to be your backup keeper. And
No.
I mean, I think he can probably step right into the pros.
Yes. Do you have any other final thoughts with AC Boise?
Yeah, just waiting to see who else they announce this week to fill in those backup spots.
Perfect. Let's go on to number 3. Maybe. Spokane Velocity, Death, Taxes, and Spokane Velocity is finishing 3rd or somewhere about there. Listen, 2 straight years they have made it to the playoffs. 2 years in existence, they have made it to the finals. And in both up finals, they were kind of run off the pitch by a team that felt inevitable. Did they do enough this offseason to get over the hump?
You know what? Right as of right now, they have 2 new players, Simon Fitch and Joe Gallardo, which those
Good
are
players.
2 of the top free agents in the league. I'm sure that they've got a batch of trialists that they're going to be announcing over the next few days as well. But if it's not broke, I guess don't fix it, and that seems to be the case here. They brought back a huge portion of their 2025 squad. The players who were let go, I mean, like David Garcia, obviously you're not going to be able to hold on to someone of that level.
Yeah.
He's going to be probably stepping into a starting position in Oakland. Pierre Reedy, again, like I'd like to see who else they're going to bring in over the next week to fill in those backup spots. But if it's not broke, don't fix it. And this is certainly not broken. Now, are they going to be able to find that success that's eluded them to win the playoffs? I think it's possible. I mean, this is like it's like Omaha. They're definitely a top 4 team, easy. I think that's a safe prediction.
I don't know if I'm willing, because I guess I just don't know with Spokane Velocity and Lee Wiedemann. I trust him what he does defensively in this like 4-4-2 and how defensively solid they are. But it's, as far as I can remember, maybe I'm wrong here, but it's always had Garcia back there, right? Do we have that same confidence that he can recreate and make a new Garcia, basically? Do we have that same exact confidence in that
Yeah,
system or in what he can do? I'm really interested to see about that, because if they don't have the same defensive structure that they had in years past, I don't know if they did do enough. I'm also, because you mentioned they only have 2 new players, I also wonder how much of that comes down to, and I don't know how public this is, but Wiedemann was being kind of shopped around championship clubs. Like, he was in negotiations with championship clubs, and maybe Spokane didn't know who their head coach was going to be, so they had to slow down on recruitment just a little bit. Is that something that might stunt their growth, or do they trust him enough to say, "Hey, we know what we have here is a winner. You can make defensive players. We know we have a structure. We know what we're doing. It'll be fine."
yeah, I think they trust him, and every year Spokane is always one of the last to announce their last batch of players. They wait till the very last minute to announce them. So we'll see what surprises they have to fill in that center back slot and anybody other defensive backups. I tell you, if I'm Spokane and I'm still needing a center back, I'm getting on the phone with the agents of some of those players that just left Tormento, like Justin Malou and Nick Spielman. That's
Yes.
not I don't they that's just speculation. That's just what I would do. I have no insight of where those guys are going, but yeah, I think I would be checking them out unless they have some surprises in mind that they just are delaying announcements on.
I'm also looking, and I'm curious on Fitch and Opara,
Yeah, I
where
am too.
I do think that Fitch is the better player, but also to have Lucky Opara on your bench feels absolutely brutal
It
because he's too good to leave on the bench.
Yeah, well, it's like that was a very bizarre signing when they signed Simon Fitch, having with already having Lucky Opara, because these are two like top right backs in the league. They play like Simon. I don't think he's missed a match in 3 years. He's an Iron Man.
Mm-mm.
He will run up and down that field for 90 plus minutes every match. He does not seem to get tired. But Lucky Opara is like, he's about the same. Like he might not be as fast, but he's got that endurance, he's got that athleticism, he's got those, those touches that same. I mean, that's a very bizarre pairing there. It goes deep. It
So
goes deep, but
I'm thinking, I mean, Lucky's not a small guy. He's what, 6', 6'1"?
yeah,
Is there a bizarre world where he ends up as the right-sided center back and they just run both of them out there? That feels like an
that's
insane use of both of them, but
yeah, that could be likely. But they both have they're both good offensively too. Like,
yeah, I mean, my other thought was you might maybe you could put him at right mid, but you're not displacing Joe Gallardo or Siobhan John Brown.
yeah, it's
Like,
already
you're not making
it's
Siobhan John Brown a third piece.
it's a very crowded right side.
I'm just really fascinated by that. What else you got on Spokane?
Yeah, like I said, I think another very, very easy pick for top 4.
I completely agree. Wrapping out the top 4, Portland Hearts of Pine, the fans number 1. Again, I'm sure there was no bias here whatsoever. Does the addition of Breck Evans and Faye solidify their floor as a definite top 4 team?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Those were the big, because if you look at the rest of the roster, I mean, this is a team that I think outperformed in their first year. Made the playoffs, was threatening to make a run in those playoffs, and then they saw where their weaknesses were in the defense, and they've vastly improved that. So yeah, I think that those two are definitely game changers.
When we're looking here, obviously we are big fans of Washington, Ollie Wright, Scarlett, Wada, Kamara. Like, these are players that we really like. Amor Armor was a huge pickup and to be on that left-handed side, pushing someone like Mensah, who was a standout at Syracuse, like an absolute superstar, where I think he's starting almost every other left back spot across League One, but not here. This back line went from the downfall to arguably the strength of this team.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's saying a lot with Ollie, with Wada, with Kamara, and Washington. Oh, and on your bench, you have Terzaghi coming in, Kunga, Scarlett. Like, this team is loaded.
Yeah. Yeah, Kunga, and Kunga, before he got hurt, he was, I'm sure he's gotten this back, but he was like one of the fastest players in the league.
Mhm.
Like, he could get ahead of anybody in the league and score goals. I mean, like, putting him in like, say, the 65th, 70th minute, I think that's a huge game changer.
If I am a Portland Hearts of Pine fan, is it mean for me to say that I'm a little frustrated that all of the news talk about us was about the fan base and not how good of soccer they actually played last year?
I mean, they had that, they were the shiny new object. They were the best supported team in the league. I don't think that's unfair to cover all of that, but I think this is the year where the team will show that, like, hey, we're more than just we're more than marketing, we're more than the hype. We're building a legitimately good team here.
I think I saw that their single tickets went on sale today, and I've already sold out for every single match, which is just unbelievable.
Yeah, and shout out to their ownership who said that they were going through and canceling any tickets that they found on the resale market.
I mean, I love that.
Yeah.
So I guess like the more and more I look at this team, when I did my rankings, if I go back, I put them as third in my personal rankings. But the more I stare at this roster, the more and more I just can I put them above Omaha, Spokane, or Boise?
It's a strong possibility that this is our player shield right here. Like I would not want to play against Ollie Wright, Wada, Kamara. Like that's ridiculous.
What would it take for Portland to be the Players Shield winners? Does it take Omaha slipping up a little bit and AC Boise taking a while to find their footing and Spokane just not being able to be exactly the same after losing Garcia? Or does it just take Portland Hearts to Pine of being who this roster says they're going to be?
Yeah, I think it's being who this roster says it's going to be. They are. I think they've set this one up to for success right out of the gate.
Is there anybody right now that you're kind of looking at and you're saying, okay, if we have to make an addition, if we have to make any changes to make it better, is there a weak link you're really seeing on this team?
I think if Titus Washington, like God forbid, knock on wood, if he were to get injured and you have Terzaghi as your number one, at he's still a dangerous threat, but he's not the Terzaghi of 3-4 years ago. I think that would be one possible weak spot. Yeah, if anything were to happen to Titus Washington. Yeah. That's it though. And that's I mean, if Terzaghi is your backup, he could very well like just have a late career burst and be able to step in.
Is there a world where if that happens, they might float Ollie Wright up top and let Scarlett start, or Kunga move over to the left and get starts there?
Yeah, or Kamara. Yeah, for sure. Wada could step into that. I mean, yeah, any of those.
That sounds awful. It must be. Talk about suffering from success.
Yeah, this is an embarrassment of riches.
Any final thoughts on this team?
Yeah, I'll see Portland on the 14th when I head up to Paterson, New Jersey to see them play the Cosmos.
I am hoping to make it up there. I gotta do it. I gotta make it. I need to take oyster shots. It has to happen.
Yeah, I'm going to Cosmos, not to Portland this year, but I will see Portland versus Cosmos.
All right, first team out, the Red Wolves. Hey, you're not going to trick us this year. No free like locker room material for you, Chattanooga. It's not going to happen. While they are another team that likes to announce late, and if you're looking at the screen, you're like, how can you place them 5th or 6th despite not having a left back or center back? I watched this team last week. They have a left back and a center back, just trust. And from what I saw, they looked pretty dang good. So we can get into that a little bit. But Alex, does moving to the back 4 and moving away from that back 5 fix their subpar ending to 2025?
I mean, it's possible. And I'm just gonna say, like, after the top 4, I would say I'm gonna say it's like for me, it's an impossibility to predict anything beyond that top 4. Like I've tried, and I have not put out power rankings this year because I just cannot do it. This is just like this is the most equal I've seen this league in entire time I've been watching it. Outside of that top 4. So, but yeah, you know, Aaron Lombardi, he can play. He can play left wing. He can play left back. He can go up and down the pitch. He's a menace. He can score goals. I don't know who they're bringing in to actually play left back or center back, but with what they have right now, I think whoever they bring in, it's going to work out. The way they played last year and the way that they're coached and just the way that they play with chips on their shoulders all year. That they're, I definitely think they're going to be a dangerous team, and adding Ropapa Mensa, losing Declan Waters, I think, is a huge blow in their defense. So I'm curious to see who they will replace him with. But I at this point, I think we all have confidence in Scott McKenzie to figure this out.
Yeah, when I watched them, they were it looked like they were kind of floating between a 4-4-2 and kind of not exactly a 4-1-4-1, but it was very much just, I don't know what else to call it besides the most British thing I've ever seen. And if you are someone like this, kind of follows tactics around, like they are just, it's the 4-4-2, and they're going to sit in, they're going to block absolutely everything. And when I say that, like, you're going to, I mean, the underlying numbers are going to look awful on Chattanooga. They did last year, and that's okay. They're going to let you have 60 to 70% of the ball. You're going to have 25 shots, but they're all going to be from about 20 yards away or from the widest angle you've ever seen. Anything that is in front of the box, in the box, is going to be blocked. They're like, Smith is not going to be tested very often this year, just because they are so structured at the back. From there, they have the Hernandezes, either on the left or right hand side. Ramos, Lombardi, quick as lightning. They are able to make things happen very, very quickly. And add Ropapa Mensa back to that equation. I'm very interested to see if the super direct approach for this team is going to help them fix the woes of last year.
Yeah, and looking at this roster, like, they're so flexible. You have Pedro Hernandez, who can play striker, he can play right wing, he can play right back. And like you mentioned with Jason Smith, he's a good goalkeeper, and he won the Golden Glove last year, but he did not get goalkeeper of the year because like he faced so few shots compared to Sean Lewis. But he's still a good keeper. Like, he's still solid, and having Ricardo Harris backing him up, I like that.
Is there anybody else in the league that you trust more in a PK shootout than Harris?
Yeah, probably not.
Besides,
I mean, from AC Boise,
Garcia.
Yeah.
Yeah, Avi
Javier
Garcia.
Yep.
Same thing, I guess. We'll get to him later with Naples. Lalo Delgado.
Yeah, Lalo Delgado.
It's those three, and those might be on your all-star team across the championship or League One.
Yeah, Serrano did not come back. Yep.
I'm really interested in if this team can do it again for a full 32, 34, one of the two. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see if they can do it for the full time, because last year they were Players' Shield winners for much of the season until it all fell apart.
And I will tell you
what,
these players are salty over not making it to the championship last year. I went to Knoxville to the championship game, and on the concourse I ran into Matt Bentley.
Really?
And he said, man, we should be here. We should be the ones out here.
I mean, they were so good for so long, but that 5-back just got figured out. Yep. Or like that 3-3-4-3 just got figured out. I wonder if having this as a second option, okay, the 4-4-2 is not working, we can go back to the 3-4-3 and have that flexibility. I do wonder if that's just going to provide another piece of ammo for them.
Yeah, and again, like I can't. This is another one I can't wait to see who they announce over the next few days. It's crazy that the season starts in 4 days. Like that's
This is Central Valley Fuego, where they just announced the team on the starting lineup, and that's just how you find out.
oh, this is not Central Valley Fuego by
No,
any
it's not.
means.
I'm not saying Chattanooga. I'm just saying it's vibes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just, no, I was just saying it blows my mind that it's like we're here. We're at the season is
Yeah.
starting. So in the next few days, we're gonna see all the remaining roster decisions made.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think Chattanooga could potentially run it back.
I do too. I really do too. Next one, Fort Wayne. Welcome to the league, former League Two squad. Listen, everybody knows that John and I are some of the biggest Avery supporters going out there that are not Fort Wayne fans, but maybe we're a little too bullish as the fans have them 10th and we have them as 6th. Can the League Two continuity translate to League One success?
I think I more agree with the fans at this time. Fort Wayne is one of the wait and see clubs for me as of right now, just because they have so many young new pros. I think they have more than any other team. And like you said, Mike Avery, if anybody can do it, it's probably him. That continuity. Yeah, and Nick is correct. There's only 4 matches this week, so there could still be announcements into next week. But I'm definitely wait and see here. I like that they picked up Ryan Beecher. That was a big signing there. He was a menace at Omaha last year. Picking up Burns Shipman as a solid veteran goalkeeper. You can't get much better than that unless you picked up Sean Lewis, which he was not available at the time. Unfortunately, he's available now. Somebody pick him up. But yeah, this is a big wait and see for me. Lot of top performers at the NCAA level don't always translate over to the pro level, but a lot of times they do. So yeah, we'll wait and see on this one.
I was going to bring him up, but it was already put in chat. Clarence Awudor. I think he is the absolute truth at the number 10 of that midfield. I mean, Mike Avery plays a very fun attacking 4-3-3 / 4-2-3-1. Really just depends on how you want to look at the system itself, but it's a very fun attacking system, and he feels like the perfect piece to throw in there. I'm also looking at Diaz. I'm looking at Sproat. I'm looking at Briscoe. And those are players who have played with Avery and they know the system. So it's not going to be completely starting from new. They're going to understand what he wants and maybe can translate it to other players. If you aren't someone who's following what's going on with League One, or maybe you're not following other teams, Solis might become your favorite player's favorite player. Dude is a 6'8" center back that it can win everything in the air and is not too bad with the ball at his feet. I mean, come on. Like, it's just going to be fun seeing him get on the pitch and be tall. Like, dude is like taller than your tallest guy's tall guy. Like
6'8", right?
Yeah, he is 6'8".
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, now, is he good on the low block? He'll win all the aerial duels, I'm sure. He'll muscle you out, but yeah.
Fascinating. And
one player.
The more go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to mention also Musa, where James Musa is in on this squad. He's going to be starting with Solis. And Musa, everybody might just say, well, he's a championship player that dropped down. Maybe he's just past it. He played I think he was the 10th most minutes in the USL Championship last year. Maybe he was top 15. I don't remember off the top of my head, but he was up there. He was getting minutes for Indy 11, and he's making that drop down to League One. This isn't a player past his prime. This is still a really good player that they brought in, along with a Shipman as well.
Yeah, Moose is one of those players that I think they probably made it worth his while to come down to USL League One and be that veteran presence in the back.
What else you got?
Tag Healy. So NC State won the NCAA title last year. One of my best friends went to NC State, still pays attention to their athletics, and he told me he heard about this signing. Doesn't even really watch League One because he lives in DC, but he said, yeah, that was the third best player on NC State, and the other two, the top two, went to MLS. So this is, Fort Wayne tapped into that very talented team to get their third best player apparently. And he showed his stuff regular season and in the playoffs and the title match. I'm really excited to see what he does in this league.
I think that Tag Healy is going to be a guy that's going to be really fun to watch. He at NC State, he was a number 10, and I really thought that he was going to be the number 10 in the system until Awudor showed up. And I think obviously this is still a projected lineup, but I think him being put into that right wing position, despite being a natural 10 as like a coming up through the system, I think shows how much they're probably expecting him to do in this league, that they're willing to play him a little out of position just to get him on the pitch.
Yep. And Daniel Atunde, that's another one that was a very interesting signing, coming like straight out of the Arsenal under 21 academy into League One. Very interesting to see how that works out.
Someone told me that he gave a very similar vibe to a oh no, I lost his name. Tormenta made his way up. Keziah Sterling.
Yep.
It was a very similar prototype to him, maybe a little bit before just some injuries slowed him up, but it's a very, very similar build, which if you can get that, if you're Fort Wayne, yes.
Yeah, right.
Final thoughts on Fort Wayne?
Yeah, I actually kind of like the away kit. The yellow. I'm a fan.
I miss the old badge. I miss the old badge a lot. I don't know. This doesn't do it for me. But if people in Fort Wayne like it, that's all that matters. But I don't.
I honestly I don't even remember what the old one looked like because I'm used to this one now.
It was the blue. It had the blue.
Yeah,
and
the
red
blue.
and
The
blue. Yeah. I liked it. All right. Let's go on next. Greenville Triumph. Listen, we have them 7th. The fans have them 11th. I think it once again proves the point of there's just a slog of teams that you can pick your favorites from anywhere, honestly, 5th to last, and you could probably make a case for any of it. But there's a new coach, there's a new coaching staff, there's a new director of football, there's a new president, there's a new stadium on the way. Everything's new except the old guys are still here. So Alex, do Unks still got it?
I mean, I would say mostly yes. I do kind of agree that it's time to have Segrist over Polak. But that's Polak is still, I think, a very serviceable wingback. Yeah, I mean, I think Evan Lee and who's the other one? Brandon Fricky. Yeah, I think they still got it, and I like what has been built around them. Leo Castro, he's the second oldest player in the league behind Ricardo Harris, I think. He's still scoring goals. He just doesn't seem to age. And then you bring in Aziliadi, who is coming off of an injury year. I think he could potentially pull a very solid comeback. So yeah, I mean, I think Greenville has quietly built up a very good roster here that I did not think that they were going to be able to do after the whole the coaching staff departed, everything new came in. But yeah, they've done a really good job of building a roster here, and I do kind of agree to that. I would bump them up to about seventh.
I like this team, but I also like this team last year, and it just never really got off the ground. One thing that I'm looking at is Daniel Wu, who they just brought back. He never really
Mhm.
got a chance out in Lexington, but he was a player that I wanted to come to Birmingham. I really rate him as still as a potential talent. I think he's a great player. Who does he get in? Who does he get in over at center back? Right now, I don't think anybody. I think that what you're looking at between Abub Afriki with Sims, I think is pretty solid. When I'm looking at a Mall Knight back there, you love what you see in him all night, but don't sleep on what Seth Torman did in his small time in that too, mostly in cup matches. Last year, the issue wasn't necessarily defense, which I know people would say it is. It was the midfield, specifically defensive midfield, was a bit of a mess at times, and there was nobody to kind of screen for this back line. They were just under constant barrages when they shouldn't be. Is Lee and Evans going to be able to provide that defensive solidity? Probably, mainly because you have Beckford, you have Boyce back, welcome back. You have Castro up top. There's going to be enough going forward already that those deeper lying midfielders won't need to go up to give them a chance to score this year.
Yeah. And this is yeah, I'm looking at this. This is a very deep squad. My question is this the year that you put Connor Evans out in the transfer market?
I thought this last year too. I had this thought as well because I do think you want to get Chaparrera in there any way you can. And he's not getting in over Lee. Is he getting in over Evans? Maybe. But we're also going to see with new coaching staff coming in because this one's Dixon, if he rates Choppa maybe as much as I do, right? If not, then you stick with Evans and you're happy with your decision. But I had that thought as well.
Yeah, I mean, like if Nathan Messer is getting sold on, I don't see why Connor Evans can't get sold on.
Now I'm just trying to think of places to put Connor Evans. Now you got me thinking, who needs him?
We're
Almost
talking
every
about League
team,
One.
by the
Yeah, we're
way.
talking about League One.
Yeah, yeah, like everybody would love a Connor Evans.
Yeah.
I think this wingback pairing of Segrist and Benton might be one of the more fun wins we have in the league. I think that it's Segrist wasn't quite to what he was in the past, but Benton is still proving to be now getting older, but was a young commodity that's still kind of finding his way in the professional game. If they can both kind of make that step, if Benton can make the step up and Segrist can be who he was before, you're looking at two wingback options that you are really having fun with, and pairing those guys with a Beckford and a Boyce. I mean, that's a fun outside.
Yep. And
So
looking at that, go back to the question about the uncles of League One. If any of them were to if this is like a year that they're going to slow down, see more injuries, I think Anthony Patty can easily step into that
yeah,
left center back spot. I mean, I think he's and Daniel Wu obviously can do it. Yeah, this is a deep squad.
I'm not sure if I am willing to say, oh, their peak is home playoffs. I'm not sure about that, but they could be knocking at that fourth and fifth door. I think that the gap between the top three in Greenville is a little too much to overcome. However, the more and more that I've sat with this roster and thought on it, the more I like what I see.
Yeah, my only concern would be at up top with Castro's age and Liotti's injury history. If anything, were to happen at the same time there, they might need to shift around a little bit or bring somebody else in. So that
Yeah.
could be a potential weak point. But yeah, other than that, this is a pretty solid roster.
I hate to just, keep shoving former Tormenta players on, but I would say this is a potential top 4 team if Yannick Bazzini's on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Final thoughts for you?
Yeah, Bazzini would be a game changer here.
I'm going to be making my way up to Greenville, not next week, but the week after next. And I'm hopefully going to make it to the Asheville Greenville game. But we always make our way up to Greenville every single year. So hopefully can make it to a match and hopefully in the new stadium, but almost
Yeah.
certainly to the Asheville game. So come say hi.
I was hoping to make it to the new stadium, but yeah, it's going to be delayed when Richmond's there. So they're still going to be playing at Furman, I guess.
Yeah. So we'll if you see me, say hi or punch me, whichever way you feel about me. I don't know. So, but I will be there. All right, moving on to our final playoff team. And it's our defending champions, One Knox. Listen, they lost a lot of talent this offseason, a lot of title winners. Can Fuller elevate this roster to overcome what they've lost?
They are. Yeah, that's a very good point. Nick saying that he doesn't think they're going to drop that far because of the reinforcements. Yeah, they are a little bit of a wait and see for me. I know they're probably not going to have a very quick start. Due to Dean, I don't think is going to be able to report because of visa, and Rosamilia is he's going to be out for a couple months. But yeah, Real Gil, like that, he's pretty good. I think this could be like his reintroduction to League One, and he can step into that spot. Yeah, I'm still gonna have him wait and see. I do think that this is a playoff contender for sure. But yeah, there's a lot of questions with with who they lost and who they're bringing in and how it all fits in. They do have the advantage of having a really good coach in Ian Fuller, coming off a championship year. Johan Garraby, he's definitely a number one quality keeper. I know it seemed to be like a very hard thing people understand, like why you would let the 2-time goalkeeper of the year walk. But when you have a Garraby waiting in the wings, I guess why not? So what do you think?
I think, Danny, you like what you see up top, but same thing, Kryachkinov. Oh my gosh, I cannot do it. I can do it. Kryachkov. There we go. I just have to spell it out. Phonetics, people. This is why they're important. He was with Vermont Green, and he was a fairly sizable forward. He can be a big body in the box, but his underlying numbers were fantastic. I mean, he was putting up almost 1 XG all by himself when he was playing, and he's again another Vermont Green player that's just absolutely doing it. When I'm looking at this team and I'm asking the question, like, what was going to catapult this team? It's goaling for me, because you are losing Tequila and you're putting goaling in. I liked goaling when he played, but Tequila was different gravy when he played. Can he truly replace that level? Or to kind of take from Moneyball and our good friend Ryan Allen, is there enough pieces in the aggregate to kind of recreate what Tequila brought?
Yeah, I think that was the idea, that they saw that Going was has that potential to step up and replace those goals scored by Tequila, and that's what they went with. Tequila's contract was out, so they let him walk, and they're going to elevate Going. I think, I do think that is a fair plan. Um,
I mean, when you're losing an Ugly, a Tequila, a Lewis, and a Richie, it it's hard for me to see them in the same light as last year. But I'm also going to take something from John's Backfield article. You should read it, by the way. Is we didn't think that highly of this team last year either. I mean, I think we thought they were top four. I can definitely go back and find the receipts on that. I think we had them as top four, but we certainly didn't have them as the winners of the whole dang thing. So maybe this is just us needing to put a little bit of faith and put a little respect on Fuller's name and him working with the pieces that he has. But I also do see this as a sizable downgrade to last year's team.
and that's not necessarily to say that like a downgrade is like a downgrade from like 1 to like wooden spoon either. Like a downgrade here
No.
could be like from 1 to like, 4 or 5. I mean, I'm looking at this defense, and it's still solid.
Mhm.
Like Jordan Skelton is probably the best center back in the league. Jaheim Brown, he showed us what he was capable of last year, and like Will Perkins backing him up. That's some good depth there. Danny Fernandez and Finn McRobb. It's the left side where Stu Ritchie was playing last year that I guess is like a little bit of a question mark. I don't really know enough about Christopher Tiao or Donovan Williams to say what's going to happen over there, because that left side was a very important side for Knoxville all last year with Richie and Rosamilia and Mark Doyle.
Mhm.
So yeah, well, that's a little bit of a question mark with it. With they're going to be starting that entire side of the season. That entire side, they're going to be starting the season with all new players.
Any final thoughts on this team?
Yeah, I mean, like I think there's a world where this team could run it back.
Yeah. I think there's a world where there's a playoff run for sure. I don't see another world where they get another 2 straight player shields personally, but I think there's a world where they find themselves in a title final once again, and we're just like, Ian Fuller is just that guy. He is
Yeah,
just he's just him. So
I think it might be a slow start, but I think as the a couple months go in, we're going to see Knoxville rising up through the table.
moving on. Our first team out. Maybe they need to be added in after Luca Dorado gets announced today, purely like an hour before we went live. But the storyline we talked about before that news is, can Tyler Freeman rediscover his Loudon self? And is that enough to get this team over the line? But now we have Luca Dorado, so everything's thrown out the window.
Yeah, that was a bombshell announcement, not expected at all. Luca Dorado to Richmond Kickers. Earlier this week, we had heard that they were going to bring in a forward or a winger or something, and we were like leaning towards it was going to be a winger. And then out of nowhere today, they're just like, oh yeah, we got Luca Dorado, the one of the top free agent strikers in the league, who had signed with Tormenta on December 22nd and obviously became a free agent last weekend. He's the first Tormenta player to have a public announcement of a new home. You knew he wasn't going to stay off the market long, but was Richmond going to actually like make a splash like this? That was what was very unexpected, because Richmond's just not a team that makes those kind of splashes. Richmond seems to have this like they they look outside the league. They look outside think outside the box, looking for players where no one else is looking, basically. So to get like the top free agent was just kind of like mind blowing to the Kickers fans today. But yeah, I mean, this is now all of a sudden there is an offense here that has at least 1, 2, 3, 4 players who are capable of scoring 8 goals apiece. And then
Well, the
that's just
question last year was never goals. We never questioned if they could score last year.
well, I mean, score more goals then. Well, I mean, we'll get to the defense in a minute, but and then you have Landon Johnson, who is poised, I think, to break out this year on the wing. You have Tariq Panholzer, who's not. I don't think he's going to be joining the team for a few weeks because he's also another one of the international players stuck in visa limbo, like a lot of teams are dealing with. But let's move to the back. Daniel Moore and Muji Marana are two players that were very highly touted by Coach Darren Sawatsky. He compared them to when Richmond had Stu Ritchie and Stephen Payne on the backs.
Wow.
And he said, like, that's not to like put anything against what Richmond has had in the meantime, because in the meantime, since they left, there's been Michael Hornsby, Maxie Shenfield, Simon Fitch. I mean, these are all very solid league players. But he said that he feels that Moore and Marana are going to bring that like that elevated athleticism that Ritchie and Payne had back in 2022. And then you put the center backs, Sean Vinberg, Sam Layton, Ethan Koss, and then there's going to be a trialist is going to be announced later this week to come in for the other center back position. I think there's a little bit of a wait and see there. They're taller, they're more physical, they're more chippy than players that Richmond has had in the last couple of years at center back. So that could be an advantage, but it's a little bit of a question mark. Wait and see, and what happens in real time. But yeah, Luca Dorado, I think, like, was kind of a game changer today for Richmond.
If you watched our 90s, 50s, 10s, I had Richmond as my 50% to make the playoffs, and I even think I got bullish enough to say that they would host a playoff game. I will say I'm also in that prime era where I think every team is going to win the championship. Like, I am in that point right now that every team's going to win it all. Like, that's just where I am.
It's a very equal league this year.
But I love what I'm seeing with this team. Like, I'm looking at Moore, I'm looking at Layton. Ethan Koss, I think, is a player that deserved more playing time in Birmingham. I liked what I saw out of him. So if he starts, that's great. But you also get Sean Vinberg, we talked about Portland upgrading their center back department and that being a big deal. But Sean Vinberg was also a very good center back for Portland. It's not like he was just some guy up there. He was a very good player. Marana up there as well. Then you look at the midfield, and this is obviously your club, but something that you talked about was Tyler Freeman. And we, including me, hand up, kind of wrote him off and being like, man, that Loudon time was really fun. But you talked to Swarsky and you mentioned yourself, he's 23 years old.
Yeah. So he had if you look at the last few years, what he's been doing, he's been bouncing around on loans, and Sawatsky said that he just kind of like ran into like systems and coaching like situations where he just wasn't really a good fit. And I think that under Sawatsky and especially under Ownby, I think this is like where he can refine that confidence and that form with stability.
Do you think that we're going to be able to see this team rounded out and just be more consistent front to back? Because last year it was like Richmond has gotten into another 3-4 match and they were unfortunately the 3 today. or they would just go dry for a few weeks of scoring, but still kind of be a little leaky. Do you think they have taken a step forward, totality wise?
Mm, it's hard. It's hard to tell. Like I said, I think with defensively, it's a little bit of a wait and see, and wait and see in action. Preseason, it's hard to gauge. The one preseason match we saw was a 2-1 loss to VCU.
Good
Uh,
team.
yeah, which is one of the top NCAA program. But yeah, I think we're gonna have to like wait and see what that you know what that pairing is gonna be, how they work together. Yeah, the center back pairing is a bit of a question mark right now for me.
All right. Final thoughts?
Jan Filion, goalkeeper. He is very chirpy, very. He reminded me of kind of like a Mall Knight, where he loves to yell, to motivate his team, to yell at the opposition, yell at the refs. Like
Lots of
he's
yelling.
he's got that dog in him. Now I don't know who's going to be, who's going to end up number one keeper. Like, obviously Snedden has been the go-to for the last couple of years, and I think he's coming into his own as well. So I think this is going to be a pretty good competition for goalkeeper.
Very fun. Let's go ahead and move on. Sarasota Paradise. This is a team that I keep finding myself believing in. Where, Alex, I want to keep it with your ruse. Can the three former kickers in Bryant, O'Dwyer, and Bolaños bring a winner to Sarasota?
I I think it's a possibility. I talked to Chandler the other day, and he's so happy down there. And he said he's ready to get this started. It's kind of refreshing to see someone get a fresh start like that. And I think he's been captain a few times during the preseason, splitting it with Declan Waters. Yeah, I like you. I think the more I look at this roster, the more I like what I see. Um, Garrett McLaughlin, if he gets returns to the form he had at NCFC. Bolaños getting back into the swing of things after a down year with Westchester. Yeah, this could be a dark horse for sure. I love that they brought in Declan Waters. That's a huge loss for Chattanooga. He's one of the best center backs in the league, along with Callum Stretch is one of the top ones as well. Like, yeah, I like what I see here. I think there's a few question marks. Don't really know much about Alex Sutton. No, I remember him. Yeah, he's a good goalkeeper. Um, yeah, bringing in Reed Valentine from Texoma. Um, yeah, I could see this one be a dark horse, making the playoffs in their first year.
I was a bit surprised that they were another League Two to League One team that didn't rely on what they've built in the past, because they have had some fantastic players come um, through Sarasota Paradise. So I'm a bit surprised they didn't quite tap into that market as much as they did. The main player I think he's playing at DC United, like actively playing, but Jose Kajima, he was an academy product for them, and like he was a fantastic player. I'm a bit surprised they didn't tap in there. One player that was kind of a tip to me was Roed, who's a central midfielder. Um, friend of the show, even though he hasn't been on the show, and that needs to change, honestly. Mark Ward told me to keep my eye out on him because he's legit. So I am very excited to see what he turns into. Mark, if you're listening, please, we would love to have you on. Just tell us
Yeah,
when.
definitely for real.
Um, but yeah, I'm looking here and I really like it. Water Stretch, I think, is knocked it out of the park. Bolaños, if Bolaños can be who he was, that got him a chance to possibly go to
Nashville.
Nashville, right? Like if he can be that guy, and O'Dwyer can continue to being O'Dwyer, because when he was on last year, he was unstoppable. And if McLaughlin can be who he is, and Ethan Bryant can reclaim who he is, I think you're looking at a team that is comfortably a playoff team. And I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but last year we saw FC Naples come in and they had the spine figured out. Right? They had their center backs, they had their defensive mids, they had their goalkeeper, bang, good to go. Between Walker, Rodriguez, Waters, Stretch, Ethan Bryant, I like what I see in the spine. Sutton, pretty decent player, but still needs to kind of prove it for me. But I like it. And it's enough, I think you can kind of rest on it. Anything with this front line, if you need Bolaños, O'Dwyer, McLaughlin to score, they're going to do it. I think there's a lot you can dream on with upside.
Yeah, and I don't even you didn't even have Ethan Bryant on here because he's a recent addition this week. That's a, I mean, he's played the last he played at Columbus and then went to Monterey Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's back in League One after he won the USL League One Young Player of the Year in 2022. He was amazing that year in Richmond.
Yes, he was.
I remember that was he was one of those players that you watched him live and you're just like, you really appreciate a good ball moving midfielder, like someone who wins those duels, can move the ball up the pitch, accurately pass. I assume he can still do all that. I mean, it's only been a few years. He's still very young. So I guess he would go in that pairing with Tanio. I guess that's how you say his name. Around that area, right wing, right midfield. I think that's another, and he's played for Mika Elevara at Richmond.
Yep.
Along with Bolaños and O'Dwyer. That's like that 3 in a row right there. Left wing, attacking mid, right wing, former 2022 Richmond Kickers.
Not a bad team to copy yourself off of.
Yeah.
Not a bad team. Any final thoughts on Sarasota?
Yeah, I think Mika Elevara is the one that can bring these guys back to their form.
Love to hear it. Let's move on. The Charlotte Independents. When will the Mike Jeffries slander stop? Because it's another
Mike
year.
Jeffries?
Well, us, because we have him down in 11th. And we continue to doubt, and yet they always end up in the playoffs. But they had some losses that
barely.
I think, yes, but it's fine. Is Luis Alvarez being back enough to overcome some of the pieces they lost in the midfield, which, by the way, was Ndai was Omar Sis, and they lost Spillman in the back. Is Luis Alvarez alone enough to kind of bring this team back to where they were, which was a playoff team?
Alone, no, but Charlotte always seems to have some tricks up their sleeve late in the preseason. I expect that they're probably gonna drop some news in the next 2 weeks that they're bringing in some pretty big names, because that's what they always do.
Yeah.
But yeah, you look at what Charlotte did last year when Alvarez was there, and then you look at what Charlotte did when Alvarez was transferred. It was a different team. And I think there was another player that was on loan with Charlotte that was a big part of that as well. That went back to Lexington. Who was that? Alfredo Medense. Like
Yes.
those two were when they left Charlotte in the spring, early summer last year. Like that changed everything. Charlotte was just not the same. So bringing back half of that, I do think is going to have a little bit. I do think it's going to have some positive impact.
Everybody knows who watches the USL show long enough that if we're talking Charlotte Independence, I'm talking Omar Sis. It's just going to happen every single time. And I think they're going to feel that a lot more than, like someone mentioned in the chat, with Christian Cheney. I think they're going to miss Ndai and Cheney a lot. And you're also going to be losing Spielman, who was a stalwart of that back line. Now you're looking at Koulibaly, Dimick, whom I like, Romario, fairly like, Levy, who I really like, but you don't have that screening midfielder in front of them, Eva Ndai. You don't have Omar Sis, who kind of can be that number 8 type box to box or just absolutely killer in the midfield to win the ball back.
Yep.
You don't have anybody like that to shield the back line, and you're losing Spielman. Defensively is where I have questions here. Last year, my question marks were attack. Is Christian Cheney going to be able to do it again? There's no way. For the first time in a long time, I don't think you can just say, well, Charlotte won't concede any goals, so it's fine.
Yeah, Sega he kind of like announced that he was retiring after leaving Portland, and then suddenly pops up and surprise, not retiring, signing with Charlotte, going to be their star center back. So yeah, that was an interesting move. I think he was injured a lot last year at Portland.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see, when he's not injured, I'm sure he's one of the best. He's a longtime professional veteran back there, but yeah, a lot of wait and see here. A lot of just like I don't even really know how that this roster I'm looking at on the screen was even like put together, because like a lot of these players are just in. Yeah. A lot of question marks with Charlotte.
For me, I'm looking at the attack and I feel fairly common. Baquero, I like. Sadie, I feel good. Guffrey, I feel good. Mauro, I feel pretty decent about. Vigo Ortiz is one that I'm interested in. He was one that was, and I say in air quotes so hard, one of the failed signing ins from the Charleston Battery, where he didn't quite go on that Fidel Barajas jump or Nick Marcanic jump, but he's still a dang good player. And maybe 1 year in League One, he can get his confidence back and be who he was supposed to be as a youth international for Mexico.
Yeah, he's 17, by the way.
He is 17 years old. Like, he is a great player that if he's given the time to play, which he wasn't going to get that time in Charleston, right? And he wasn't quite able to force the issue out there. Maybe getting this playing time and getting that confidence back can be a lot, because linking up between Ortiz and Alvarez or Asadi or Baquero, that could be lethal in this attack. I don't doubt this attack at all. It's just for the first time in a long time, this back line, I just have questions on.
Yeah. And Maru, he was mostly off the bench last year.
Yep.
Scored like what, 10 goals, 11 goals, had a hat trick, back-to-back braces. Like he can score goals, but is he going to be ready, starting quality?
I think you could ask the same question about Skinner, who was a super sub option for Tampa Bay last year. Not really getting starts, but was just coming in off the bench, was an absolute weapon for them. Is he going to be able to do it for a 90 and not just be a super sub. I don't know. Miles Lyons over on the right hand side. He was also getting minutes at the championship level, looked solid while doing it. So it's going to be interesting to see how some of those pieces maybe make a jump from being a sub piece and just being an absolute menace for 30 minutes versus having to pace yourself out for 90 goes.
Yeah. I think
Final
as of
thought?
right now, I'd have Charlotte a little bit lower. But you know, definitely in the wait and see and trust in Mike Jeffries to put it together last minute and make it work.
He always does. The Cosmos. I wasn't willing to put New York on there because, well, they play in New Jersey. But even so, I am really interested in how the return of arguably the biggest brand in U.S. soccer history makes the return. And this is one of the more underwhelming lineups we've seen don the Cosmos crest. But is that necessarily a bad thing as they plan to build for sustainability, not just star power? But the question here for you is, can the youth learn on the job?
I think so. I really like what they put together. I think I would have Cosmos ranked a little bit higher than this. Um, because yes, it's a young roster, but I mean these are some of the top young players in the country. And most of them came from the New York area, which is a region where you could probably put together another 5 or 6 USL one teams, just from talent in the New York region alone. So yeah, I think that they are doing a very good job of building something sustainable, going slow, bringing in a lot of young regional players. I think this team could be a surprise to a lot of people once they get going.
Yeah, I'm looking at this team and I'm circling in guys like Anderson Holt. I'm circling in guys like Kofi, who comes in from MLS. Um, and I'm saying these are players who are young, super talented, but more than just being young and talented, they are young professionals who have been professionals before.
Yeah.
Yes, they are another part of the youth movement, but they're not just college kids making the jumps. They know what it's like to be pros
Yep.
and can help out those guys. And who's better to help out some of the young guys than Sebastian Guinzotti? Like
Mhm.
Guinzotti is like one of the all-time greats we've had in the USL, and he finally gets to return to the Cosmos,
Yep. Played for
place
the
that he
Cosmos
knows
before.
well. So I think that they've put together a team that on paper might look underwhelming. I think it could be really fun.
Yeah, I really like that line of Kofi, Spengler, and Latcher. Julian Latcher played for New York. Was he New York City FC 2 last year? Scored a bunch of goals. I think he's only 18 years old. I definitely, the way I've seen him play, like I definitely think he can do this in League One as well. Spengler, we've seen the last 2 years. He's one of the better midfielders in the league. Knows how to move the ball, knows how to score goals. Kofi, another one that like was very recently the MLS, a top MLS prospect. I don't think he's fallen off. I think like this is just going to be a good opportunity for him to show, to really show his stuff. And I could see him moving on as early as next year, moving back up. So yeah, I think this team is going to surprise people.
Can I ask a mean question? And I feel really bad for asking it, but it's 9:30 for me. This is way past my bedtime, so I'm allowed to be mean now. Um, Spengler, do we feel like, I mean, he was a great player. Don't get that twisted. But do we feel like maybe he's been elevated in our brains because he was a good player on a really bad team and he just shined out a little bit more because of the pieces surrounding him? Or do we really think he's class enough to buoy this team a little bit?
I think he is class enough. Remember he played for Tormenta before he played for
Mhm.
Texoma. Granted, that was not a playoff Tormenta team, but I think they were better than the Texoma team that he played on last year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think that he's ready to step up as a leader here.
What else are you looking at with this team?
Well, so the whole defense shake up in the last couple of weeks was kind of bizarre. We saw Marcelo Lodge leave the team on a mutual termination just days after that they got Anderson Holt from Omaha on
Yeah.
transfer. I That's probably a good. I mean, Anderson Holt might be an upgrade even. Um,
Yeah. But when you
so
want Lodge maybe over Materazzi, or maybe is that just showing how much they rate Materazzi internally?
yeah, Materazzi and Del Rio are two new pros who, yeah, we'll have to wait and see, and they could very well bring in another center back as well over the next couple of weeks. So Materazzi might not. I mean, he might not be a lock for the starting position. If they bring in, there's still available veteran center backs to bring in. But um, yeah, that's a little bit of a question mark there.
All right. Anything else? All right. Let's go on. Ford Madison. Um, Ford Madison had a fascinating offseason where they lost a lot of players, a lot of great players. We're now looking at a largely new back line, but they bring in Mark Segbers, they bring in Roman Torres, but they've lost a lot of players along the way. Um,
And a
will
lot. You mean everybody except Eric Gebhardt?
Yes, Cruel, Osman, Garcia, Shipman, like everybody, but guys
Literally
like
everybody except Gebhardt.
yeah, so like Segbers, Carmichael, Ngobu, and Harms, these kind of players, are they going to find chemistry to be even remotely competitive?
In Madison, there is a great deal of confidence on this new squad. Talking to some of the people who work for the team, some of the fans, like I think once you dive into it, this might be another one that you're like, at first we're kind of dismissive because they're rebuilding their entire squad. It's the last year of the coach's contract. Like what's going on here? And then like slowly they've brought in some pretty solid pieces on paper. Now, can they all work together? I mean, it's basically like an expansion team at this point. That's of course that they're bringing back the coach, but bringing back one player and then all the new players. That's it's basically an expansion squad. We've seen expansion squads work together under good coaching. We've seen expansion squads not really click the first year. Um, so a lot of wait and see here, but I think I would be cautiously optimistic if I were a Madison fan.
I I guess for me, I'm having to stop myself from saying, well, these are names that I don't necessarily know, so therefore it's bad. But last year they were names that I knew and they weren't great.
Yeah.
So maybe the shakeup was desperately needed. Is Gebhardt going to be the guy that, you're the only returning member of this team? Like, is that really what you want going on here? Is
I,
he going to be the guy that can really bring this team up and get everybody else up to speed and kind of get them used to the system? I think I would have preferred a few more pieces than just him, but maybe they truly felt like an entire team shakeup was needed.
yeah. It's gonna be it's gonna be a challenge, I'm sure, click with this many new players, but yeah, a lot of wait and see here, but cautiously optimistic.
And I want to look this up because I want to make sure I am not wrong. Okay. So one thing that's going to be really interesting in the midfield with them is Roman Torres, who is a Creighton graduate. So it's going to be interesting to see Ford Madison, their star new midfielder who's on loan from Minnesota United, who was a guy from Omaha. I'm sure that's going to go really interesting in those rivalries. Maybe that's something that doesn't matter to anybody, but I find that personally fascinating.
Yeah.
They've also built this team a very local. Like they've went and got a lot of Midwest guys. And I know they tried to do it, but like even so, like they're right. I believe that Harms was a UW grad. Same thing with Segbers. I think a lot of these Torres, yes, was Omaha, but that's still Midwest. I feel like they went fairly local with this team.
And younger, a lot younger.
Yes.
Which I mean, they're not the only team in the league to trend younger. Richmond has definitely done the same thing. Cosmos, obviously. So I think that's a good gamble. Moving from a veteran heavy squad that didn't really work out to, all right, let's bring in all these like younger pros. I think most everybody they brought in were, at least has like 1 or 2 years experience, even if they are only like 22, 23, 24 years old. So yeah, another one that like the more I look at it, the more I'm cautiously optimistic.
Carmichael, their right winger, if I remember right, he was a Atlanta United 2 player.
Yeah.
Where I know him as a number 9 when I've seen him play as an out and out striker, but that the number 9 position is like the only place they have depth in the attack in general. If I remember correctly, he played out on the wing this last year for Atlanta United 2 and was, from my Atlanta United friends, they said he was just okay, that he definitely looked like a number 9 who was told to go play the wings. Maybe another year of getting used to that position will do him good. Or maybe they find some way just to put him up top and say, we'll figure it out. We will figure out some way to get goals out of this guy because he was really good as that out and out striker.
Yep, you're right. When he was with Inter Miami too, he played mostly striker, scored 9 goals, 7 assists, and then moves over to Atlanta too, and moves out to the wing. So yeah, had 1 goal, 4 assists.
Be interesting to see how that one translates and where they want to put him.
I've heard a lot of good things about him from that organization. I think they're really hyping him up to be, their next star.
I hope so. I mean, everybody that I talked to that dealt with him that said he's a good guy and they like him a lot and has a lot of talent. So I'm rooting for him.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, it's weird looking at this roster and only seeing Derek Gebhard as the returning player. I don't think I've ever seen that in this league.
That one scene of Will Smith alone in the house.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Corpus Christi. I just wonder with Corpus Christi if we are down on them because of everything we kind of heard about them being a lower funded roster, or maybe if we're somehow overrating them because Ayman Zayed is Ayman Zayed and he just makes magic from seemingly nothing. I'm so torn on if I love this team or hate it.
I love their kits.
I like their kits a lot.
I was a big fan of the away kit, especially. But yeah, like, I think Zayed, if anybody can put something together out of this, it's Zayed. We've seen it before. I don't think this is a bad roster by any means. Not the best on paper, but also, yeah, this is a decent roster. I was surprised when they picked up Christian Chaney, and then have him on top of Alexis Cerritos with the everlasting Jake Keegan
It
waiting in
doesn't
the
stop.
wings.
He never stops.
So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. I definitely don't have them in the playoff hunt to start the season, but yeah, it's going to be fun, I think.
What something I'm really interested with this team is we always, and it's even just like the question here is who's Zayed's next unearthed gem? Because he really does just find them out of
Yeah,
nowhere,
the next
right?
Bruno Rendon, the next Ethan Howard.
In full fairness on Ethan Howard, if you can somehow find a 6'6" striker that can also dribble better than anybody on your team, why wouldn't you want him? That felt like a layup. I don't know.
He was a trialist.
Yeah.
He was a It's like, oh, let's go trial in the middle of northern Colorado and then
But
become one of the best players in the league.
I guess, do we trust the proven talent here? This is another team that had a League Two background and didn't really dip into it. Granted, Zayed wasn't there for the League Two background, but still, they didn't really dip into that pool. Is this a team that you look at and say, okay, like they can be pushing up there, fighting for a final playoff spot?
I mean, why not? Like I said, everything outside of that top four is just so equal this year, including Corpus Christi. Why not? Why not? Like
The pedigree on Talbot in goal for them, who played in Ireland, I think in the first division, his pedigree is really good. I know some people who, whenever I was just kind of doing some research on him, because I got to be honest, I'm not watching the first or second or any tier of Ireland too often. But when I decided to look some stuff up, and there was a lot of people who said that he didn't quite reach what they thought he could be. Like they think there's a quality goalkeeper in there. That's gonna be something to kind of look at. I think looking at this midfield in front of them, specifically its defensive midfielders, between Dietrich and Langlois, I don't know if one of them ends up on the bench. Like Pondesa, whichever one it is. As much as he is a good player and I like him a lot, do we not? Is there a world where Zayed goes to Old Reliable and starts Dietrich and Langlois in the same midfield? It worked really well before, and I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work really well again.
Yeah, why not? Both of them have played for him before. And so, yeah, Will in the comments about blasting Selena's greatest hits. Yes, if they start playing Bitty Bitty Boom Boom after every goal, I am. This is my new favorite non-Richmond kicker team. My house, we love Selena.
So here's the next question for Eamon, if he's listening. It supposedly gets over 100 degrees in Corpus Christi. How committed are you to the sweater? Just how committed are you? Because it's different doing one-off game and every single game. It is a different animal. Just how committed are you?
You know, when last time Northern Colorado was in Richmond, it was the hottest day of the year. It was literally the hottest day of the year. It was like 95 degrees with like 100, humidity, just swamp ass humidity. And he comes out of the locker room wearing that sweater. Kept it on the entire match. I talked to him after the match. He is beaded with sweat. But I was like, aren't you hot? He's like, oh, it's good luck.
Okay, sure. I do have questions about Cheney in this team. Surely Cheney didn't come here to be a backup. Surely he's not just going to be sitting on the bench to be a super sub for Cerritos, but also like maybe he is in that, like with Portland, that Terzaghi kind of role where you expect him to come in the final 30 minutes and just be in the right place and bag a goal. Maybe that's what they want from him. But if that's the case, Cheney doesn't feel like a prototypical Zayed striker, where I'm interested to see if maybe he's gotten into the lab and is maybe working on something new and has a different party trick for us this year.
Maybe, but we forget. I mean, last year Cheney had a career season in Charlotte, 13 goals.
It's true.
Like he's definitely still has it.
Yeah,
he's always good. He's always good to score at least 10, and he scored 13 last year in Charlotte, and that's the most he scored in a season.
Texoma's first ever signing, McCready on the bench for them. That's a note. That's a fact.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to see Texoma players find opportunities.
Any final thoughts with Corpus Christi?
Send me a kit. No.
Sure. I mean, yeah, fair. Please.
Love them.
I trust Eamon Zayed a lot. Yeah. I don't know if this year is the year for them, but if they keep him around for multiple years, Corpus Christi is going to be a problem.
Yeah, I think the first year he was with Northern Colorado, they barely missed out on the playoffs, and then the next 2 years were among the top teams in the league. So it's even if it's a slow 1 year build, keep him around for next year, and he'll find those value players that will break out and move on to go play in the top divisions in Europe afterwards.
5 more 6'6" strikers who can dribble and finish. It's that easy. All right. FC Naples. Have 2 of the mighty have fallen, and we'll talk about the other one soon. They lost a lot this year. They got absolutely ransacked. They lose Interlong. They lose Evans. They lose Dangler. They lose Heckenberg. They lose Onan. They lose their top goal scorers and their entire spine. Even though they bring in a Mastritonio and they bring in a Gray and they have O'Connor, was what they lost way too good to replace?
I mean, looking here at the beginning of the season before they've played a regular season match, the answer is clearly yes. But again, I don't know. Like I'm looking at this and I don't see this as being as bad as 15th. I like Gio Migoletti. I like Andres Ferrin. I think Taylor Gray. I think he kind of like didn't really fit in with Tormenta last year, and a fresh start could do him really, really well. I mean, he was a beast. Where did he play before? Huntsville or Chattanooga? Wherever he was before.
Gray.
Yeah, Taylor Gray.
Gray was Chattanooga FC.
Yeah, he was a beast over there. I think he's coming into his peak years. Like I would feel cautiously optimistic about this, despite the fact, despite all the losses from last year.
Osorio feels like a good player to possibly recover after losing Heckenberg. Mastritonio, if he's healthy this year, is a decent replacement for who they lost. Oh my gosh, who was it? Breck Evans or Dangler.
Yeah.
Granted,
I don't know much about Max
Evans.
Broughton. Did Max Broughton came from Pittsburgh?
Broughton was at Virginia. and he was a legit stud. When Pittsburgh brought him in, he was supposed to be the next Bob Lilly project, and he's a really good passer, decent on the ball, a really good defender. He was supposed to be the next Lilly project, and he never quite got his chance. But you definitely see why Lilly brought him in. If he's going to be that ball playing defender, I think you're going to love what you see out of Broughton. If I think he was Virginia.
Yeah, and then they signed 2 center backs out of Trialist today, who are both new pros.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was late this afternoon. No. They announced them back to back. One from Longwood University and up here, kind of poached out of Richmond's backyard, and then the other one was from UNC Wilmington. So Jaden Strumier and Josh Yoder.
Oh, I know about Yoder. He's a good player. I like him.
Yeah, he was.
I'm glad they picked him up. He is a really good player.
Longwood and Charlottesville Blues.
Yeah, that's Joshua Yoder is a great player. That's a great pickup. Holy cow. Okay. That honestly changes a bit for me. He was a really good center back at the League 2 level.
Charlottesville, right?
Charlottesville, yeah. And he was at Longwood. He's a big body defender, strong as an ox, good player, decent ball his feet as well. Not too different in the not too different than the Broughton signing, if not even maybe a slightly higher upside. That's a great signing. Wow.
Yeah, the team, like, I mean, they spoke up they said leadership and reliability. So
I don't know. I think that besides like Breck Evans is obviously a big win. Dangler is a huge win. Again, if you've watched the show long enough, you know I have a fascination with Chris Heckenberg. I think that he was the best number 6 in the league for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a miss that's going to be really, really felt. Because even when they were running a 4-2-3-1 with 2 number 6s back there, like they were running double 6s, they eventually dropped one of those 6s and just said, okay, Heckenberg's just going to do the dang thing back there. And he was so good at it. I wonder if they're going to lose a little bit of that attacking prowess about them, because you're going to need 2 players to kind of do the work that Heckenberg did, unless they found somebody who's Osorio could be that guy. To be fair, he has good pedigree about him, but I don't know. Are you going to see Gray turn into who he was at Chattanooga? I hope so. Farron, I like a lot. Cerro, I like a lot. Migueletti, is he going to be able? Are those guys going to be able to combine and replace Inderlong? Possibly, but also you don't necessarily need to replace what Inderlong was, as long as you're still defensively solid. I think that Inderlong, while very vital, was still a bit of almost a bonus piece to how good that defense was.
Yeah. Like I said, I would put Naples a little bit higher than this, but it's for everybody complaining about where we have these teams. Just know that this is an impossible task to pick everything after the 4th spot. So just because somebody's at 15th doesn't mean that they're like the 15th best. It's just, arbitrarily we have to pick.
Yes. It also just kind of gives us an order to discuss teams, and it's a pseudo power ranking because everybody loves power rankings.
Yeah.
It's their favorite. I don't know about you, Alex, but every time I've ever posted a power ranking, it was the best article I ever posted, even if it was the one that I didn't work as hard on.
Yep.
I am so sorry, people who are listening. My cat knocked over my mic. I'm so sorry. You jerk. I'm sure that sounded awful. I am so sorry, people. Goodness gracious. You're a jerk. Anyway, any final thoughts?
No. I'll see you in
I kinda
October, Naples. I'm going to be there in October.
I kinda hate the Tide logo on the jerseys or on the pants. And it's not because it's Tide, it's just it always looks like it's an awkward spot. It weirds me out.
Okay, get that money wherever you
Anyway,
can.
true. Here we go. AV Alta. They also fell pretty hard. They were absolutely ransacked by the championship. Absolutely ransacked. And they are losing Blancas. They lose Cruz. They lose Cerritos. I don't know what to do with this team. I got to be completely honest with you. But is this new look attack going to be enough to push them forward? And are they going to be more efficient going forward?
Yeah, I think so. So talking to David Adams of Tumbleweed Times earlier this week, ahead of Richmond's matchup with AV Alta, mentioned that last year they kind of got burned in transition a lot because they would be stuck like just passing around the midfield and not moving forward. Where now with Mariona and Esdunes stepping up, they're a lot more aggressive on the ball, a lot more forward pushing. I think that this one is definitely unfairly low from the fans. I'm definitely more around the 8, 9, 10 to start the season, like the USL show rank. Like Colin Anderson, I think, does present a little bit of a question mark because he hasn't played in the league before. He was in the top level of Oman and Iraq before that, and Jamaica. And I think they're banking pretty heavily on him being able to step into this league and do great things. So he's a little bit of a question mark there. Joaquin Acuna is coming back from injury. But I really like Mariona and Esdunes. I think that they're going to have breakout seasons on the wings here. I see we have Miguel Ibarra starting in central midfield. Probably going to bring in somebody else because I don't think he didn't start much last year. I think he's winding down his career. He's a great veteran to have there from that area, but I don't think he's going to be in that starting position. Jimmy Villalobos, he's always good in the midfield. This Miguel Parajo, and I think that this kid Wynnum is going to be starting in center back. From what I've heard, everybody he's been getting more minutes in the preseason and has looked really good. So the defense, I think the defense is going to be much improved at the very least. But like I said, I like the young guns up front.
Yeah, I think the Ortizes that we have going on the left and right hand side, I like what we have there. I think that they're going to be dangerous going down the wings. You mentioned Mariona, Decidens, great players as well. I think that we're going to be looking at very impressive wing play from this team. Pajaro is going to be one I look at center back. You said that Wynnum is someone that they're looking at to be starting this year as center back. I think that's going to be good as well. I guess one thing that John had mentioned.
I have to step away. My wife is calling and she's on her way home.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, you're good. Right. I can filibuster.
All right.
So one thing that I'm personally concerned with, and it was something that John had mentioned in his Backheeled article, if I can scroll to it really fast, which was they scored 12 non-penalty goals from dead balls last season. So 12 true free kick goals last year. And a lot of that came from Blancas. And I'm not saying, oh, get rid of their 12 goals and see what happened. I don't think that's fair. I don't say, a lot of times when you say, oh, get rid of all their goals, they would have no goals. Like that just doesn't make any sense. But the thing with me or with this team is how different do they look without a consistent set piece taker like Blancas who can bag you goals from those positions. Last year they scored, if I can find it, 42 goals. If you bring that roughly around to, I won't give them 30. I'll give them closer to, let's say, 34 goals, right? They get 4 goals from set pieces. You are bang average, if not the lower half of League One from last year. I think that that alone is enough for concern with AV Alta. If you cannot recreate those free kick goals or find those goals in open play, you're going to see offensive regression from this team. And I think it's going to hit a lot harder than people realize. Alex, I don't know if you heard any of that, but basically Blanca scored a lot of goals
Yeah.
and from set pieces. And I just don't know if they have someone that can recreate that on this team right now.
Yeah, and they lost. Yeah, they lost the top 3-4 goal scorers in free agency. So I mean, it's going to be a task to rebuild that. But I mean, if they did that in the first year, why not do it in the second year?
It's true. What else you got on this team?
Yeah, I mean, Richmond going to Lancaster this weekend. I have AV on that match. That was my pick. I think a 2-1 AV win. Home pitch advantage and a long travel time for Richmond, and I think
I've still never been able to get over, and I can't remember if it was Alan or Phil that pointed out that there's just 2 AVs in the crest, AV Alta, AVFC, and it still freaks me out.
You're right. Can't unsee that.
It still freaks me out. I do think this team has the potential to be very, very, very good, like in the hunt for playoffs. But I still think they are going to take a pretty massive step back from last year. Let's go ahead and go to our final team, Westchester SC. We had them in the top 3 last year, top 2, and now by unanimous decision, we have them winning the wooden spoon. Is it just because that we saw how bad it was last year, or is this team that bad on paper? I don't know, but we lost some superstars and we went young. So, Alex, was it the right time to go support local?
I think they're getting an unfair. I mean, obviously you have to pick somebody. And again, it's an impossible task to pick anybody after that top 4. I do think I think people are being a little bit unfair. We've got a whole all new coaching. Brought in a much younger, more sustainable roster than last year. Obviously, a huge risk to replace all your veterans with a bunch of new professionals. I think everybody except for one. Yeah, every new signing except for Max Jennings is a new professional. But last year obviously it didn't work out with all the veterans, so why not switch it up completely? Try something new. New coaching, new young players. I mean, this is the Chaos League. I think Westchester has as good a chance as anybody.
I think Westchester got a bit of a bad rep and people kind of just started looking at results and not film a little bit. Their last 5 to 7 games was they looked a lot better. They started figuring some stuff out on defense. They started kind of solidifying just a bit after losing, was it 36 points from winning positions?
Yeah.
Like
And
after
their defense was also racked by injuries.
Yes, it
They
was.
could not put together a solid center back pairing almost the entire season. So if they can stabilize that and avoid everybody getting injured and having to bring in new people in the middle of the season, I think that could be fixed. Like Bobby
Nicholas
Pierre
Murray.
and Rashid Teddy, like those are good defenders.
Yes, they are.
When they're healthy. So if they can maintain that, and they've brought in like 3 backups already from the start that are all young, fresh out of college players, probably still have fresh legs, can endure this long season. That's the biggest thing they needed to fix was the defense.
Yeah, and Nicholas Murray corrected me. It was 38 points from winning positions.
Yeah.
Unreal. But I do think it's stabilized a bit. If Stephen Payne can be Stephen Payne, right? You like what he's going to bring you going forward, but I do think he's underrated as a defender. I think he's a lot better than he's given credit for.
Mhm.
Tete, I actually quite liked Tim Checo. I also quite liked what I saw him on film. Same with Pierre. I think McGlynn is still a quality player. You have the Powders. No Powder is going to take the headlines, but Sammy Powder was fantastic last year. And then up top, John has in his article, Backfield, you should subscribe, but he mentioned American Soccer Analysis had Daniel Burko as the most pro-ready striker in the MLS drafts this last year. If that's the way they feel about him and they can get him doing some of that for them, hey, maybe it'll be another year of 3-2 wins or losses, whichever way it goes that day. But I think this team's going to be a lot more competitive than people think.
Yeah, I mean, Burko could very well end up like like Bazzini was last year. Like Bazzini didn't get drafted, went to Tormenta and showed us all that. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm ready for this. So we could see Daniel Burko doing the same thing.
Nicholas Murray also mentions Kyle Evans, who was number 10 out at Marist. I get kind of feeling the same kind of thing that kind of was going on. Oh my gosh, who was it that had the number 10 who played out wide? Oh, Fort Wayne. I wouldn't be too shocked if you end up having someone like a Tag Healy situation going on with Evans as well, where he's fantastic on the ball, absolute creative, really, really good player. Probably more naturally a 10 from what I remember watching just a little bit of film of him from Marist. But even so, if they're getting him on the pitch, your team is going to be better for it.
Yep.
So, any final thoughts on this Westchester team?
They're not going to win the Wooden Spoon.
That's
my final thought.
Who is?
I couldn't tell you that. I don't think it's going to be West. Somebody has to do it, but I don't know who. I said, this is the most equal season to start that I've ever seen. I could not tell you who's going to win that Wooden Spoon, but I don't think it's going to be Westchester 2 years in a row.
I am really interested in this season. When I went through, Alex, I don't know how long it took you to actually fill out the form when we did this, but I put it out on socials on what I usually like to do. I like to look at the rosters. I do use John's roster resource because otherwise I'd be here all day. I'd circle the players that I know are good, and I circle players I don't know anything about, and I say, I'm going to watch some film on those players, and then I try to find preseason games, see how I like it, and then I try to take some notes, and I say, okay, let's try to rank it. My top 3, I felt really good about. Number 4 and 5, I was like, I don't know. I think it took me about 30 minutes between 6 and 17 to decide
Yeah.
who I wanted to put in what order.
Yeah, it's impossible.
I think that's great for the league, though.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about things that have been bad for the league the last few days and the last few weeks. There's a lot of bad things that have kind of happened, but in terms of on-field competition, I think that this is great for League One. I think that you're going to see so much of a better team
Yeah.
across the board that every single game is going to be a dogfight. You mentioned it. This is the Chaos League. A couple years ago, it got weirdly chalky and it was bizarre, but I think we are right back to being just mass chaos every week.
Yeah, and like I think a big part of it is how the teams are shifting younger. So there's a lot more
Yeah.
unknowns.
So before we end for the night, I want to do one last USL question that's going to go from the chat. I want to do just the former because you are wearing the El Paso kit. What do you think of Cristo Fernandez, aka Danny Rojas, to possibly join El Paso?
I will say it's a great publicity stunt because today I'm in a group chat with some people who have just their only connection to USL is me. They don't live in USL markets. They don't watch USL. I try to like, talk about it sometimes and just kind of get ignored, but I got the question like, "Oh, is he going to join El Paso? Is he coming to USL?" I was like, well, the fact that you guys are asking me, you guys now know that El Paso has a team. I guess the publicity worked.
I think it came through on ESPN as well, and it's like, what is going on? You know what? I think I put it in our private Discord channel. There is a world where he's just good at soccer, and I think that's the funniest possible outcome. That it's not just publicity stunt. Like, I got to be honest with you, the first and possibly only Cristo Fernandez scored on blank team graphic is going to hit like crack on
Just
social
stay away from
media.
the mascots. Somebody said, "Oh, so you can go play in Richmond." I was like, "Kikaroo doesn't need that."
What's some final thoughts you have on the night, Alex?
Well, Sebastian, like it. Like, is this our like USL David Beckham moment where we're gonna just bring in a star player and give them ownership and give their wife, brand ambassador or partner, or Becky G, is that his partner? Give her, brand ambassadorship. Yeah,
And we had Drogba join the league. I mean, if we can somehow we can bring another one. Like,
so this would be the Messi moment then.
this is our Messi moment. Yeah.
We've already had the Beckham moment.
Part
Oh.
2. Yeah, I'm fascinated.
I mean, good for Monterey Bay.
What's been on the good for them.
Oh,
I
yeah.
it is exciting.
Yeah, only thing,
But
we just, binged, the season 3 of The Night Agent. Wasn't as good as the first 2 seasons, but we did it.
yeah, we've been watching this. It's my comfort show. If I'm not watching sports, I watch Great British Baking Show. Um,
Mhm.
it's my comfort show. It gives me just enough being like, oh, who's going to win, but enough just kind of like laid back or whatever. We've been watching some of the old seasons, and I keep coming to the same conclusion. I like the older seasons because it really was about who made the best chocolate chip cookie and not who can make a 17-tier cake out of pure fondue. Like, they kind of lost me a little bit, but I'll still watch next season. I'll still love it. So
Is that the show? Okay, so I used to watch this show called The IT Crowd, and there was a character on there named Richmond, the goth character, and I think he was one of the
yes,
judges on that show. The
yes,
act
he's still
Yeah.
no, he's not a judge. He's like a host, but
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's just good vibes. it just makes me happy.
Oh, he was so good in
So.
the IT crowd.
All right, we got anything else?
It's 11:15 where I live,
Yes,
so
it is. Let's get to
gotta-
bed. Hey, this is still shorter than our good friend Gio Conyas when he ran the 3.5 hour long League One preview show years and years ago. It's still out there. People want to watch it. It's still there.
Thank you for everyone for sticking with us.
We appreciate you. And so for the first and final time tonight, here's Alan's voice.
Thank you for watching another episode of the USL Show.
The USL Show is now proudly part of the Protagonist podcast family. Please go to protagonistsoccer.com to check out more work. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see everyone again next time.